I moved into this apartment when I was 25. I remember I spent like at least 9 months looking for the perfect place. I had this really specific idea about exactly what I wanted, and it had to have like a certain color floor and white walls and lots of light and $1,000 because that was what I could afford, maybe 1,100. And I remember like not being able to find anything. Everything that was like in my price range was like not safe at all. And so I was like, okay, well let me look for something that's 1,300, 1,400, having no idea how I was going to be able to afford it, but it's LA. And so we went into this unit, and I remember just stepping in through the entrance and thinking like, this is exactly what I've had in my head. And I was like, I'll take it. And I really had no idea how I was going to even pay for it, but I had a little bit of savings, so it wasn't crazy. And I'd work with Airbnb and things like that, and I did. I moved out of my mother's house in the Hollywood Hills and into my own studio. And I remember I had very, very basic furniture, just like a bed and a desk. And as the years went by, I accumulated more furniture that really reflected my personality and my interests, my couch and my mirror and my paintings. This is a Cézanne. This is one of my favorite paintings by Degas. This is another painting by Degas. I worked up the street for a year at the CNN building. A year later, I worked in Beverly Hills, and I always also had an office on Hollywood Boulevard on the corner of La Brea, which was a really important part of my life in my 20s. I would walk up and down Hollywood Boulevard every day with my dog. I was an entrepreneur, and so it was a really special time. This apartment meant everything to me. It was my whole life, and I probably would have left LA many years ago. I would have gone to New York or Paris or whatever. But I was not able to leave this place because it just was, I couldn't imagine finding a better place than this. And it was expensive, and I would have loved to be able to split the rent. It would have made many years go by much easier. And for a long time, I was so lonely, but I also understood that being here was a very special time in my life because, I had privacy to figure myself out, do what I wanted, design things however I wanted. I remember there was a moment where I was going through like a peacock phase, and I wanted to have a peacock wreath at the door. And I liked, sleeping in bed with my dog, and, I had lots of, eccentric ideas that, came and went, but it was really important to not have to negotiate that with somebody and just be able to, design things as I wanted. I remember having this thought, like, I'm only gonna live here 5.5 years. It was very specific. After that, I'm gonna have to go because as much as I love this apartment, it doesn't make economic sense to pay rent for that long. I can only imagine the people who lived in this unit and their stories. One of them I do know was Johnny Depp. He lived here in the 90s. And from what I've read, he says that this place was not very nice back then. It was actually kind of a crap hole. And before him, I learned that Nicolas Cage lived in this apartment. So this is kind of a celebrity studio, I guess. Not really, but I'm sure that many people, even before Johnny Depp and Nicolas Cage, have lived here, and who aren't even celebrities, who have very interesting stories to tell. This place really reflects everything about my 20s and who I was at that time. I met my boyfriend just after I turned 29, and we've been dating. We dated for about 2 years before we officially decided to move in together. And we found a place in Playa Vista that is big enough for both of us and all my furniture and his daughter. So I think that it all worked out. And even though I'm very sad to say goodbye, I never imagined that I would be able to be torn away from this place. And I always kind of imagined that I would keep it and use it as a studio and, you know, drive back to Hollywood and, you know, film this or shoot that. But, you know, you just you kind of have to let things go as life moves forward and let new things come in. And so the next person, I hope that they love this place as much as I did and, you know, have the same kind of experiences that I had, and, you know, life moves forward.